Off the record. Don't record this. Yo, what's up? This is Mark Rizzo, and I'm blowing it up on Capital Chaos TV.
You are numbers.
Yeah, so I started playing guitar when I was about 8 years old. So I was back in like 1986, and during that era, it was the thrash metal era. So I grew up listening to obviously Slayer, old Megadeth, Metallica, all the great thrash metal bands. But also I grew up playing a lot of more bluesy stuff too, a lot of Jimi Hendrix and Zeppelin, Cream. So I have a love for guitar music, and especially for the classics. Yeah, I took a lot of lessons with a lot of different guys around my area, New Jersey, New York City area. A lot of people I know that went to Berkeley, stuff like that, guys that were schooled, and took a lot of private lessons around my area growing up as a kid. I mean, if I find a guitar player that I'm a big fan of, I always try to pick their brain and try to take lessons from people still. I'm a firm believer in taking guitar lessons and learning from people. I think it's the best way to learn. Off the top of my head, man, there's so many great players out there. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head right now, but there's so many great players. I mean, it's basically even if I'm on tour with a band that I think is great, and the guitar players are great, I'll sit down and be like, "Yo, man, show me that riff," and then I'll buy him beers or something after, I think the first riff I ever learned was probably Jumpin' Jack Flash from the Rolling Stones. Then probably Smoke on the Water, and then I remember I was really stoked when I learned Black Dog from Led Zeppelin. I'm always working on dimes, riffs to, incorporate even into like when I do my solo on tour here with Soulfly. I've been throwing in some "I'm Broken," I think, so that might have been the last Pantera riff I tried to figure out. I had to learn the Roots record in its entirety, and this record, the Nail Bomb, in its entirety. But I probably, when I was younger too, I remember I knew at least half of South of Heaven, Slayer, and I never got to finish learning the whole record, but I used to know up to halfway through, I think, Yeah, basically I got my new solo instrumental record called Rotation. It's coming out on EMP Combat Records. That's Dave Ellison's record company. And I'm really stoked to work with them. They've been incredible, having me do these interviews like right now and promoting my new record. It's instrumental, so sometimes that goes over people's heads, but it's a record I think that even if you're not into instrumental guitar music, if you're a metalhead, you're going to love it because there's a lot of heavy riffs, a lot of breakdowns, but also a lot of melody too. I kind of try to make the guitar do the singing and kind of be the vocal line. I worked with my favorite producer, who is Zeus. I mean, I'm a big fan of the producer Zeus. I did the Soulfly and Slave record with him back in 2012, and ever since then, he's always been such a great dude to work with. He's got a great ear for music, great ideas, incredible production. So that's another reason why I'm really stoked about this my new solo record, because I worked with Zeus, who really got the best performance out of me. Well, his production is top notch. I mean, it's one of the best sounding records I've ever made sonically. But he gets the best performance out of me too. There's a lot of times where he's like, I think you could do this better. And he'll really be hard on me, which I really appreciate. My first two came out on Shrapnel Records. The third one I released myself, and now this fourth one's coming out on Combat. So I'm excited. This record, I've done a lot of solo tours now, where I go out and play my instrumental music live, and I kind of really on this record try to write a record that would be really go over well live in the live setting. So it's real just tight songs, right to the point, not too long. My last record, some of the songs were close to 10 minutes long, real kind of prog. This record, the songs are about 3 to 4 minutes long, and they're heavy, a lot of breakdowns. I mean, again, if you're into heavy music, you'll dig my record, because there's a lot of heavy riffs on it, and it's meant to be played live and to even get people slam dancing at my shows. I mean, I play guitar all day long. That's all I do is practice all day. I'm always working on music, so I'm always writing music because I'm always practicing. I feel like I never really run out of ideas, because I'm always working on new ideas and trying to study new players, take lessons with some new players out there, and just try to improve at what I do. I mean, for me, I'm really into playing music, so to get better and to see where I can take my playing. I love boxing. I had a couple amateur fights growing up as a kid. I just love to work out. I'm an old man now. I'm 40 now, so I'm probably too old for any. But but I still train a lot. I love it. You know, it's a great workout and keeps you in shape, no doubt about it. It's changed a lot. You know, I was lucky when I first hit the road back in like 2001. You know, my first band, you know, we were signed to Roadrunner Records, and you know, bands were still getting big deals back then, and tour support, and people still were buying records, you know, 17 years ago, you know, so the industry was different back then. So I was lucky to have experienced what it was like at that time, you know, and the support from labels, and the fact that fans, you know, bought records still, but you know, it's also I'm still lucky to be here and still be doing this, and I'm really lucky to be working with Combat Records, who have been incredible with supporting me for my new record. So if I was to do a cover record, what artists would I cover? I would do the stuff I grew up on. I definitely would want to do some Slayer, maybe some Megadeth, then maybe even some bluesy rock stuff. You know, I love stuff like that. Maybe some ZZ Top or something, man, or you know, just something cool, you know, kind of bluesy rock. And I really got such a love for a lot of classic rock, you know, that I grew up on as a kid. And then also all the 80s thrash metal. I would want to throw some old school punk hardcore in, you know. I love, like, you know, Sick of It All and Agnostic Front, stuff like that. That'd be fun. I'd like to do it. Maybe one day I could do a cover record, you know. Just hard work, I think, you know. I think practice is really something I'm really into, you know. I'm really it's important to me to put on a good show, you know, be healthy on stage, give 100%, you know, and rock out and put on a good show and be well rehearsed and professional on stage. And you know, fans are coming to the show, they're buying tickets. You got to give people their money's worth. So I'm all about that, and not just on stage, but off stage too. You know, I mean, anyone that's ever come to any of my shows, or even when I'm on tour with Soulfly, you know, I'm available after the show, man. A lot of times, you know, when the show's done, man, I go to the bar, I hang out with everybody, or I just sit down on the stage and talk music. You know, I'm a fan too, so I like to chill with everybody just on a real level. Well, I love that last Overkill record. You know, I mean, they're a classic band, but I think their sound keeps evolving and keeps getting more modern every record, you know. So I really like that record a lot. I like our bass player, Mike from Soulfly, his band. He's got a side project called The Abstinence, which I really like them a lot. A lot of great guitar playing in that band. Man, there's so many great bands out there. It's hard to think off the top of my head. Obviously, Animals as Leaders, they're incredible. You know, that stuff blows me away. A lot of great stuff, you know. I mean, it's an exciting era for music right now. I think there's so many great metal bands out there. That's a good question. What heavy metal means to me, you know, everyone has their own interpretation. But for me, first and foremost, I think metal is about, you know, the energy, but also the musicianship that goes along with it. You know, for me, growing up as a kid, I always idolized bands like Slayer and Metallica and Megadeth, or even, you know, I don't know, say Suicidal Tendencies, because they were all great players. You know, you had excellent guitar players in the band that rocked out and shredded, and the drumming was incredible, the bass playing, the vocals. You know, for me, metal has always been about being real musicians and putting on a great tight show, and you know, high energy, but also, you know, musicianship too.